said at the last meeting we did that, and I said Joe would be saying, sit down and start the meeting. First, we're going to have two public hearings. Our first one is a public hearing on Section 8 Public Housing Authority. We'll open the hearing, and I'll ask the clerk to read the notice.
The Village of Green Island will hold a public hearing on Monday, April 21, 2025 at 6:10 p.m. at the Green Island Municipal Center, 19 George Street, Green Island, for the purpose of receiving comments from the public on the proposed Public Housing Authority Plan for 2025 for the Section 8 Housing Voucher Program. Copies of the PHA plan and all supporting documentation are available for review by the public at the following locations: Village of Green Island, 20 Clinton Street, Green Island, New York, 12183, or GEM Inc., 57 Phyla Street, Saratoga Springs, New York, 12866, dated March 3, 2025.
Thank you. And we have Nancy Williams from GEM Incorporated, who's going to give us a little presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. You all have a copy of this report. I'm just kind of going to go over it with you so you know what it is that we're telling you. And then if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer those. We assumed the management of your Section 8 program in 2022. Prior to that, you had managed that in-house, and then we also provided some bookkeeping and ancillary services to you at that time. And when Ted retired, the program came over to us under our management. You currently have 43 Housing Choice vouchers, and there's an add-on program with the Section 8 program called Family Self-Sufficiency Program that works with low-income working families to help them increase their earned income and decrease their dependence on the program. And you currently have 3 people enrolled in that program. The reference to escrow accounts here is that when their household income, their earned income increases, HUD banks a portion of that increase as their rent goes up to help alleviate the disincentive for people on Section 8 to do well and to earn income. You have 144 people on your waiting list as of today. So people can be on any Section 8 waiting list anywhere in the country that they want to be on. On the Section 8 waiting list, you're given preference if you live or work in the area. You currently have 8 people that are living or working in the area, and 3 who are elderly or disabled who live in the area. The date that we got the last application for the next person we will assist, we're estimating to be June 10th of 2024. That should be 25, I assume. But that really is we're on pause right now in terms of accepting any new applicants on the program because we're just not certain how the funding is going to flow. You currently have 44 people housed. Of those, 35 of the families, 80%, are elderly and or disabled. You have 30 families who have ported into Green Island. These are not families that are currently being paid for. Their voucher is not being paid for by Green Island, but it is being administered by your Section 8 program, meaning we do the inspections, we do the certifications, but other housing authorities pay for those folks to be living here in Green Island. We had a total of 96 inspections done last year. Of those, we had 76 that passed, 20 that failed. A lot of folks wonder what happens to those that fail. Generally, we work with those landlords and or tenants to make sure that we get the unit up to inspection status at some point during the year. So we never like to see someone leave a unit that they're in. The cost of relocating is just prohibitive for the folks on this program. So our goal always is to get the unit up to the standard it needs to be. And sometimes that's working with the landlord, sometimes that's working with the tenant. So we have procedures in place to make sure that that happens. The average gross monthly income of participants on the program is $1,651. The average subsidy is $628. So that means that we pay for the families on the program an average of $628 per family per unit monthly. Any questions I can answer for anyone?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll open the public hearing for public comment. No public comment, then we'll close that public hearing. And we'll move right on, we'll open the next one. And this one is going to be a public hearing on Spectrum Northeast Television Franchise Agreement. Michelle, can you read the notice?
Notice of public hearing for the approval of a cable television agreement between Spectrum Northeast LLC and the Village of Green Island. Please take notice that the Village of Green Island will hold a public hearing on April 21, 2025 at 6:15 p.m. at the Green Island Municipal Center, 19 George Street, Green Island, New York. regarding renewal of the cable television franchise agreement by and between the Village of Green Island and Spectrum Northeast LLC, an indirect subsidiary of Charter Communications. A copy of the agreement is available for public inspection during normal business hours at the Village Clerk's Office, 20 Clinton Street, Green Island, New York. At such public hearing, all persons will be given an opportunity to be heard. Written and oral statements will be taken at that time. Time limitations may be imposed for each oral statement if necessary, dated April 10, 2025.
And for the presentation on the franchise agreement, our own Maggie Allen.
And it's going to be summarized pretty quickly. But we currently have a 10-year agreement with what was Charter Communications that has since expired. So this is a standardized agreement. This one is with Spectrum Northeast LLC. And basically what it is for utilities or telecommunication companies like cable providers to use public property, so our streets, sidewalks, public right-of-way, to install and operate their infrastructure. Pretty basic.
We'll open it up for any questions. Go ahead, Tom.
Ellen, one thing I've noticed is we've been with Spectrum for a long time, and I've never had a problem with them. And I think that as I walk down the streets of Green Island, I see a lot of people have satellite dishes. So I have to assume that they're not with Spectrum. I was wondering, how does Spectrum feel about this? Is there some sort of an attitude that these people are not complying with some sort of deal that Green Island and Spectrum has?
No, I don't think it's that at all. I think Spectrum has just gotten very expensive, and I think a lot of people can't afford it. So they'd rather get a dish, and that's a lot less expensive. I think it's strictly expense.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with the agreement itself. I think any, resident property owner is entitled to, go with any provider that best meets their needs, cable, internet. There's a lot of streaming services that people use now and don't use cable at all. But this strictly is for infrastructure in the public property, in the public right-of-way. So as far as services is concerned, as far as Spectrum services to residents, that's to whatever, the preference of, the preference of the person. But no agreement between the village and the Spectrum for services. This is just for their infrastructure in the right-of-way.
Can I ask you why we can't have Verizon Fios here in Green Island?
They don't have the infrastructure
Yeah,
here.
get Verizon.
Yeah.
We don't have Fios.
I think it's cost, this is just my personal opinion, I think the cost to bring Fios here does not outweigh the benefit because we only have so many potential users. But I think it's the cost to install the infrastructure versus what they would get in return from the number of users they would be able to provide here.
Thank you.
And that's just my personal opinion.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
Any other questions? If not, we'll close the public hearing on Spectrum. And we were going to have a public hearing on local law number 1 about tax cap override, but we do not have to have a tax cap override, so we canceled the meeting, which I'm very happy about. We already did the Pledge of Allegiance, so we're not going to do it a third time. We'll call the meeting to order. Michelle, can we have the roll call, please?
Mayor McNulty Ryan.
Present.
Executive Assistant Alex.
Present.
Trustee Files.
Present.
Trustee Jones.
Present.
Trustee Lyota absent. Trustee Carwheel.
Present.
Trustee Belakapitsky.
Present.
Trustee Heffern.
Present.
Attorney Jeffers.
Present.
Can we have a motion to excuse the absentee?
I make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. We have nothing for public forum. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our regular meeting held on March 18th and the budget hearing that was held on April 7th. Everyone has copies. Do we have any corrections? If not, could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next on the agenda is consideration of the police activity report for March of 2025. Everyone has a copy. Could I have a motion to accept?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of the fire department report for March of 2025. Everyone has a copy. Could I have a motion to accept?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next on the agenda is the approval of claims. Everyone has a copy. Does anyone have any questions? Anthony is always very happy to answer. If not, could I have a motion to pay the bills?
Make a motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next on the agenda is the submittal of the monthly report by the treasurer. Everyone has a copy. Does anyone have any questions? If not, could I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of the monthly report for the Parking Violations Bureau. Janice tells me they've been busy, so. Could I have a motion to accept?
I'll make the motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of adjustments to the water and sewer billing. They're just routine, right?
Yes, all just incorrect meter reads that
Okay.
need to be adjusted.
When we get those new meters, we won't have that problem.
Exactly, hopefully this agenda item goes away.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? If not, could I have a motion to approve the adjustments?
Make the motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of authorizing the mayor to sign the CDPHP renewal for June 1st of 2025. It's an 18% increase. Not much we can do about that. And we've looked into, the county has a new.
Healthcare consortium.
Yeah, but it's new, and I don't think we're gonna let it grow a few whiskers before we get into it. So we'll put that on hold. But so we're gonna renew with CDPHP. Could I have a motion to authorize me to sign the renewal?
I'll make the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of authorizing the mayor to sign the MVP renewal. That one was only 12%. Could I have a motion to sign?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of authorizing the mayor to sign the U.S. Department of HUD Civil Rights Certification Form for Section 8. Do you need to copy or comment on that, or?
No, this is just a annual renewal. It's basically just saying that the program is administered in conformity with the Civil Rights and the Fair Housing Act.
Any questions? If not, could I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of adopting a resolution to adopt a 5-year Public Housing Authority plan for Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. Any questions? I'm not going to repeat that. I'm just going to ask for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of adopting a resolution to authorize the mayor to sign the cable television franchise agreement between Spectrum Northeast and the village as outlined in the public hearing. I don't know if either of you want to make a comment on it?
We just put contingent upon Attorney Jeffers' approval because we do have a couple items that we are just going back and forth about. So as soon as we've clarified that.
Yeah, we have a couple of small items. They will, if they're clarified, they'll be clarified to the benefit of the village, not the Spectrum.
Oh, that's good. We like that.
Otherwise, it'll be the agreement as written.
Okay.
We're trying to get a little bit better.
Okay. Sounds good. Any questions? Could I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of authorizing an amendment to the Planned Development District for Factory Town.
So you do have graphics in your packet, but I did bring kind of a bigger version because I know that these are hard to read. So I just want to point out the changes. This is a planned development district, so any changes to their site plan have to come before the Village of Green Island, Village Board for approval. This is their second time back. And the change is going to building 10. And if you can see in the original, it's one long rectangle building, which had 29 units. That building 10 is being proposed to increase to a 45 unit. So it will be a L-shaped building right in the middle there. Yep. I'm sorry, they might have renumbered them, but, L-shaped number 45 units. Now, just keep in mind, this was originally 37, went down to 29 at the last, proposed change. Now it's going back up to 45 units. The other change are the square buildings around it, which are buildings 9, 10, and 11. They, are remaining the same size, however, they're creating parking on both sides of the building. So it makes it more convenient and conducive to the residents there, and they're going to increase their parking spots. So the main recap here is the units in building 10 is going from 37 to 45, increase of 8 units. And then the parking spaces are going from 271 to 289, so they're adding 18 parking spots. So now they have accounted for at least 2 parking spots per unit plus a few extra, 11 extra, I believe. Anyone have any questions?
Any questions?
Their total apartment count is now 139.
Do we have a breakdown between they're 2 and 1 bedroom?
Correct.
Do we have a breakdown between how many 1 bedroom, how many 2 bedroom?
Bedrooms, no. I have the buildings by unit, how many units per building,
I can see.
but I can get the bedrooms per unit. How many of each? And I can send that out to everyone.
Yeah. And they're all 2-story.
Except for the L-shaped one, I believe.
Oh, okay, that's just 1 story, okay.
Anything else? Could I have a motion to make the amendment to the Factory Town Apartments?
Make the motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried, and if we're gonna have Michelle do Vanna White, we either gotta
I
get
know.
the stool or appoint her.
Or just lower the paper
Yeah.
down.
Keep the numbers right.
Next on the agenda is consideration of adopting the updated bulk trash fee schedule. You all have a copy of that. This is long overdue. We've had a lot of people misusing this whole thing, and they put out enough stuff that they should be getting a dumpster for it.
And it's still a good deal.
No, it is still a good deal.
Definitely, yep.
But it really has created a lot of work, and the cost of getting rid of this stuff, I think we're gonna have to, we might eventually just, if there's so much stuff, we might just have to say, you gotta get a dumpster, so.
Our tipping fees have gone from $72 per ton to $102 per ton. So,
In one jump.
in one jump, yeah.
So I think that, and I'd like to thank the office staff and everyone who worked on doing this schedule, so. Could I have a motion to adopt the updated bulk trash fee schedule?
I'll make the motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of adopting a resolution authorizing an increase in the sewer rate. This is a much needed thing. We've got so many, I'll let Maggie talk about it more, or Anthony, but the cost of doing business with the sewer district is, and they have a lot of mandates that they have to fund, so it trickles down to us, so I don't know.
Yeah, so basically we haven't raised the sewer rates since 2016. In 2016, we went from 704 to 1508, basically doubling the rate. And what we're asking now is, in 2025, to increase the rate from 1508 per 1,000 cubic feet to 2262 per 1,000 cubic feet, an increase of, a similar increase. However, and the reason, basically, simply put, is our expenses are exceeding our revenue at this point. And the reasons for that being some of our largest water users have decreased their usage. We also are a part of the Albany CSO pool communities, which means we pay a percentage of all of the separation projects within the pool communities. The bigger cities are now finishing their bigger projects, so the invoices for those projects are starting to come in more frequently, and we pay 0.53% of each one of those projects. And then the third reason is, like Ellen had said, the Albany Water Purification District, much like a lot of us, a lot of municipalities, their infrastructure is old. Their last update was in the 70s, and they're proposing an $85 million capital plan, which will have to be put, that expense will have to be put back to the users, and they're expecting about a 10% increase just in that project to the users. So,
So it may go up again.
It could go up again. We still, in the capital region, our sewer rates are still fairly low, so in that respect, but it is going to be an additional $7, but quarterly, $7 per quarter, so not extreme amount.
Does anyone have any questions? If not, could I have a motion to authorize the increase in the sewer rates?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's buried. It's buried. Next is consideration of adopting a fund balance policy. Maggie or Anthony, whoever wants to
I
take
can
it.
start and then Anthony can fill in anything I miss out, but I think we, credit to our predecessors and certainly the village board, the mayor, our department heads. The village has a pretty strong and stable reserve account right now, but in order to use those funds towards anything, we have to have a policy in place. So this policy will allow us to use our reserve fund, basically our savings account, for a variety of different things, but in this year's budget, we're targeting to use it towards essential high-cost items that in any other budget year we probably wouldn't be able to afford to do. Not only does this help our departments in their day-to-day operations, but the benefit overall will be to the residents in the community as a whole. So we have allocated $1.8 million in this year's budget, but for a whole list of items that we believe will be essential for daily operations here in the village. I don't know if there's anything else to add to that.
And I mean, one of the big ticket items in there are the new water meters.
Water meters are in there, and I will say that a lot of the items that we're budgeting for, we're also applying grants for. We're applying for grant funding. If we receive grant funding, the offset of that expense will go back into the reserve account. So we budgeted for the whole item per se, but some of the expenses, for example, the DPW parking lot is a shared expense with GIPA. The water meter project, if we get grant funding, that'll come back. There's body cameras and fire department radios. We're applying for grant funding there. Anything awarded will offset that expense.
Did you hear that, Chief?
Yes.
Okay. And again, with the water meters, that's going to benefit our water department because we're losing water someplace. Our meters are old, so it could be going through and it's just not recording it. So we might be getting complaints once the new meters are in,
Yes.
that people's bills went
Bills
up,
are
but
going
that's
high.
because they weren't paying for what they were getting to begin with. So, any questions?
Just
If-
quick one. My meter was replaced, I think it's September or October, so I'm under the new meter already.
You are, yes. And as they are being replaced, we are putting the new meters on them. But I would say we maybe do 10 a year of the new meters, but the bulk of our residents
Yeah.
between Green Island and Maplewood are still on the old meters.
But these will be able to be read from the street.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Like a drive-by, yeah. Very similar to how GIPA reads their electric meters.
Could I have a motion to adopt the fund balance policy?
Make the motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. We're on the next page, gang, we're almost there. Next is consideration of adopting proposed budgets for the fiscal year 2025-2026 for the Village General Fund, the Water Fund, the Sewer Fund, and the Section 8 Fund, as presented in our April 7th budget hearing. And there's been no changes to anything there.
No changes. There's no tax increase for the general fund. Water fund, no change in the rates. Sewer fund, we do have to increase the rates, and the Section 8 fund is just a pass-through. Whatever comes in from federal housing goes back out to Section 8.
Any questions? If not, we can do them all at the same time, right? Can I have a motion to adopt the proposed budgets for the general fund, the sewer fund, the water fund, and the section 8?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of setting a public hearing date, got another one, for local law number 1 for 2025. And this is about we've been talking about this for a long time. We need to slow down some traffic on George Street. All of our corners are difficult to pull out from, but Clinton Street, where we have the fire department and the police department and a lot of business going through there, if it's a 4-way stop, the fire trucks can get out, the police cars can get out, and you don't have to creep out because they're going to be stopped at the sign so you can see that you can get out. And the other corner is up at Bleecker Street. There's a lot of school traffic there, and I can't tell you how many near misses there are there every single day. And the kids are walking on the street. It's just going to be good. You wouldn't believe how fast they can go from Tibbetts by the time they get to Bleecker, which is only a block. So I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be safer for our kids walking to school, and I think it'll be a good thing.
Ellen, I've been asking for something on Market Street for years now, and it's not here. I get what you're saying about Bleecker Street, or the kids and the crossing. I understand that, but Market Street is terrible. I understand that.
Market
it's
Street
terrible.
isn't any worse than all of them.
I'm telling you, I understand that. It's bad all the way around. But I've been bringing this subject up, I don't know how many years. I get it. We had, there's a thing across there when I came home from vacation, like they were trying to see what cars go up and down Hudson. I'm not really too sure why that was. I mean, that's usually they're trying to find the cars that go down the street, because somebody wants to open something up. I understand what you're saying, but I've been at this Market Street for years.
I know, but there were other streets that needed actually more, and I don't think we could do 2 blocks right in a row. But the good thing is, you can go 1 more block up to Clinton Street.
I get that. That's not my argument. You saw the accident this summer here on Market Street.
I know.
I mean, it was.
We were actually told for a while that we couldn't put any stop signs on there, that we had to go through Albany County. And we had Albany County come up and go through this with us. And they got back to us and said, no, you can put them there. Albany County, or George Street is an Albany County street. They
I understand that.
when it's done, so.
I know, but I mean, you're saying that you're gonna put these stop signs back on George Street, and that's still Albany County Road. Am I correct?
Right,
Yeah, we went
It's been
through the
2
process
years,
to
I
get
think.
authorization for them to allow us to put stop signs on George Street, because we were always under the impression that we could not because we didn't own the street.
So now we got it for these 2 streets.
But they take
For these 2
they
corners.
take priority over Market Street. Market Street does not have the amount of traffic that Clinton Street has and Bleecker Street has. They do not have the same amount of traffic coming out there.
They don't.
No, they don't. Actually, Albany County they did do they had some things across.
The only way that you would be able to get that is to do the cross streets going across where the fire department is and where Bleecker is. I mean, at Bleecker, there's a light right there at Arch and George. Then you have the street for, I'm just saying, I've been trying to get something down here to slow the traffic down that comes off the bridge, and they zoom down George Street, or they zoom down Hudson Avenue. Even worse, now that I live on Hudson Avenue. I see it, I just see it every day. I'm just saying, I've been after this for Market Street for years.
I understand that, but I'll repeat again what I said. We didn't think we could put them anywhere, and when we had Albany County come up and go over which would be the best places to put them, this is what we came up with.
Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to remember where we are. Oh, setting the public hearing date for local law number 1. We'd like to set that for Monday, May 19th. It'll just precede our regular meeting. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of setting a public hearing date for local law number 2 for 2025. Talking about, and a lot of the communities around have done it, going to a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit in Green Island. So that should help a little.
That ain't gonna help. Listen, I'm just putting it out there. The 25 mile an hour, if nobody is out there, they're gonna go 30, 35 miles an hour.
Well, I'm hoping if we get to
I
25,
am too, believe
they'll
me.
go 30, and it'll be okay, so.
And can I just make a comment?
Yeah.
I do want everyone to, the last two items, the 22 and 23, are part of it. We're in a Vision Zero traffic study right now through CDRPC. So these are also recommendations that are coming out of that traffic study. We're in the final phase of the traffic study, and that will be shared with the board and the public prior to the public hearing, so you can read exactly the study, why those test strips were out there, the speed strips on Hudson and George, because the project area was south of the bridge. So it's south of the bridge all the way to the City of Watervliet line, and a lot of this will be detailed in that report.
Okay. So can I have a motion to set the public hearing date for local law number 2 for May 19th?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of the monthly recap as submitted by the Gippen DPW crew. Everyone has a copy. Could I have a motion to accept?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried, not buried. Do we have any other business? Anything for board forum? If not, our next meeting will be Monday, May 19th, at approximately 6:20, probably. We go as we finish the one before it, so if there's no planning board, it'll be earlier. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Thank you, everyone.